What do you think was like, well, one, what was a big catalyst to get you like out of doing working in the business and working on the business? Was it working with Joel and that stuff, or was it something before or after?
No, it was working with Joel and just getting involved in people that um, like Joel, like
Hmm.
Aiden, being around Andy Elliott,
Yep.
just people that I try to surround myself with people that are much better than me, that have more, that scaled more.
Yep.
And then I just was learning because I came from when I started painting, I worked for a few different painters, and they were totally different companies. Like, the one guy I worked with, he worked every day in the business, and I was like, how are you getting jobs? Well, I go on estimates after work. And
Mm.
then, I
So then
worked
you're
with,
never off.
no,
Yeah.
yeah. And then I worked with the gentleman, his name was John Mitchell. He has since passed, but he had a really good business. And I kind of learned from him a little bit. And then when I started my own business, my first company, I was in Cape May County, um, and I kind of was. I really wasn't a good leader or a good boss back then because I kind of was a little bit hard. I was more of a. I, I wasn't a coach. I was a boss,
Yeah.
and after the housing boom went like 2008, 2009, that kind of shut it down. Um, and then I moved up to Hunterdon County because I got divorced at that time. So I moved up to Hunterdon County. I was there for about 6 months, and I started a business up there, and it was going really well, But I still wasn't doing the practices like that I do now, Like I was running the company, I was working, I had guys working for me, but I really wasn't focusing on working on the business. I was mostly in the business, and then
Yeah.
my daughter was in Cape May County, so she was 3 hours away from where I was living, and that was starting to take a toll on me. Traveling back 3 hours each weekend, going back and forth, back and forth. So I started advertising in Ocean County, and my calendar filled up for 2 months, and I moved down here, and that's when things really started taking off for me.
Awesome. I
Yeah.
mean, do you think was it location or was it more like what you started doing that
It
make
was the location really doesn't matter, I believe. I mean, it's just how you run the business, how you treat your men, the systems and processes that you put in. And, I think it all starts from your mindset. Really, if you don't have a mindset for running a business and running the men and doing what it takes to be successful, then you're never going to be successful.
Yeah, I'd agree. Um, what for me at least, like I found that the more I pour into most like lots of knowledge and all sorts of areas, but like really for me, it's like the number one thing has been like studying leadership, and I don't think people necessarily become leaders. I think people are students of leadership. I think it's not like a trophy you win. I think it's like always something you're growing and learning, right? And for me though, like I see the biggest rewards like per minute that I pour into that area, I see the absolute biggest outcome. Like more than like marketing skills or sales skills or SOP writing skills or any of those other things. Like for me, it's been like hands down. The more I and that's one of the reasons I also went did some courses and programs and stuff with Andy Elliott because he's huge in like leadership and how to build and how to grow a team and how to really become a better leader. You mentioned a minute ago that you the old you was like a boss and you feel like the new you is like a true leader. Do you want to like expand on like what that was before and like how you kind of broke into that second phase?
So when I first started painting, we were really focused on production and hard work. Like
Yeah.
how much work do you get done in a day? That's how you were judged at the end of the day. It's like how
Yep.
much work and how good you did. So we were always like on the hustle highway, just working hard. And I think that when I started my first business, that's how that's what I expected from my guys, you
Yeah.
know. And if they weren't doing that, instead of kind of gently talking to them and kind of seeing where they were going wrong, I was more of like, well, if you're not going to fit in this company, if you can't do that, then you got to go, you know, kind of
Yeah.
like that. So I wasn't a good boss at all. I was, you know, I was horrible.
I've been there too, my friend. I've been there too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, these last 5 years, from really digging in, and especially since talking with Joel and being in these groups, have really helped me understand, that first of all, it's being a leader is not being a yeller or somebody that, it's helping somebody, using their strengths, where they're strong at. And if they're not strong in a certain area, then I don't really put them there,
Hmm.
because everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses,
Yep.
and I have guys now that, some guys are really technical. They're good doing technical things. Some guys are just really good producers, and like my production manager now, Justin, who just has the skill of all of them, so that's why he's the leader, you
Yeah.
know. But, like I have my guy, like my guys, like, they come over the house once a month. We have a barbecue. We talk to them, my wife is really familiar with all of them and their families. So we make sure we get together, we talk. We try to kind of make it, as close to a family atmosphere as we can. There are a bunch of painters, we're all painters. So, a lot of people, when they think about painters, like, oh, they're just a bunch of drunks or they're out there doing this and that. And, so I try to get my guys to, you know, be a part of a family.
Yeah. I love that, dude. Um, I think at the end of the day, I think people like want to be a part of something, you know?
Definitely.
Um, one of the things that I constantly hear, and I'm sure you've heard it, we're in a lot of the same circles, but from a lot of the guys that haven't quite figured that out. And not to say that you and I are the best leaders, but we're at least on that journey, right?
Mhm.
For the people I think that are still stuck in boss mode, like the old Nintendo boss that you got to beat. I think when you're in that kind of boss mode, I think one of the biggest things that I know that I overlooked when I knew I was that kind of boss, and I didn't know it at the time. I thought I was a good boss at the time, um, and I'll probably look back at today at some point in the future and think I was a good boss today, and I'll be better then. But like when I know for a fact, like I was at my worst as far as leadership, I did the same thing. It was transactional leadership, performance leadership, my way or the highway kind of thing. And,
Mhm.
um, you know, what ends up happening, I think, is like we, not necessarily intentionally, but we created almost like fear type workplace, right? Like
Yes.
if someone brings us an idea or a better way and we're like, no, it's my way, the highway, like eventually they'll just stop bringing you ideas,
Yes.
right? And then what happens is now you get frustrated because you have to make every decision in your business, but you wouldn't have if you would allow people to make decisions and fail and then learn from it. So because
Exactly.
if you know what I mean? Like I found that it's the grace that we allow the team members to have to be able to here, go do this thing. This is my vision for how this should look. Go do it. And here's my current SOP, but take it, run with it, make it, do it a different way, do it a better way, find the best way to do this, and it's on you. And you give them that freedom, and at first, it will be less than what you're doing right now. You know what I mean? Like almost everything is good. Like when you do a new thing, you bring in a new team, you got a new leader, you got a new process. Like that performance almost always dips, and then you give them that grace of they're in learning mode, and then they get better. Like the first time you painted a house probably sucked. I know the first time I painted sucked. First
Yeah.
time I ran a marketing campaign sucked. Like we're all going to suck before we get good. And I think that for me, when I was in boss mode, I didn't give people the same freedom to mess up that I had once been afforded prior to that moment, you know?
No, I
And,
agree.
and I think that fundamentally that's the biggest thing that I have changed is being able to allow them create a vision for what I want in the company and their role, and then give them what guidance and training where needed, but allow them to figure some stuff out on their own. And the more stuff they can figure out on their own, the better. Hey, if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. If you're looking for help growing your contracting business, I invite you to join my free community. In there, we go live with amazing trainings, share resources and downloads, plus you get free help from me and from peers. That link is down below to join, and we'll see you in the next video.